Episode 675.
New us.
Oh my God, right. We should have started bigger.
I know. It's like the first episode of the year, and we're like, hello.
Hey.
Welcome. Hey.
What's up?
Come here often? I hope so.
Happy New Year.
Yay.
So exciting. 2023. Good grief.
Yeah.
Does that number feel good to you with your color thing? It's a dud. What color is it?
I mean, well, I do love 2 and 3 next to each other because 2 and 3, 2 is yellow and 3 is green.
I knew that. I knew
3 is
yeah.
yes. Where I'm going with this. 3 is blue, and when you mix them together, they equal. See, I couldn't even separate in my mind because now all I see is green because I have the 2 and the 3 next to each other. So what I see in that is 5. So I'm like, why is it? But then the yellow throws off in the beginning. So yeah, it's like a. Yeah, so it's like a...
You got all that,
so
everybody?
Funny that you know me well enough to know that...
Yeah, the 2 in particular, I think you've discussed.
2 is yellow. Yeah, 4 is red.
Well, welcome. Oh, my gosh. New year,
welcome.
same us. Love it.
Same us. Mm-hmm. You know, if it ain't broke.
Well, we do have big things coming with our studio, which I'm psyched about.
Oh, my gosh. I'm so excited. It really does pay off to have a boyfriend who's an interior designer because when I say hey, can you make this? He's like, yeah, no problem. What do you want? What do you want?
Yeah.
No big deal. He goes, and he can see 1,000 different ways to do things.
Yes, I love that. And then combined with Adam, who's bull out of gate, he is just so excited about this techie part of it.
Yes.
And then we're just going to reap the rewards. It's going to be really good. I think all the video components. So yeah, we're just getting started. Okay, people?
We sure are. So you can watch us on video on, which means I'm probably going to have to get dressed from the waist down, huh? That's why I wear overalls, because it kind of sells.
Yeah. Sometimes Sarah is pantsless in our lives, and it does add a real mystery, because we can't see it.
Not so much anymore, because it's fucking cold as shit over here.
I was just watching old Johnny Carson clips like I do every night.
Like you do.
And one night in, I think, 1974, there was a streaker in the studio that streaked during the monologue. And I just am so fascinated by how there was that moment in the 70s where, everybody was streaking. What the hell was that?
Bring it back.
Bring it back.
Bring back streaking.
2023, the year of streaking.
Now, there you go. There's something we can get down with. The year of nudity. I mean, that could get a little crazy.
I like it. I like what I'm hearing. Bring back streaking.
What was that about streaking? You think it was just kind of the same way nudist colonies. We were all big into
and that's musical hair.
Body,
they were just hippity zippity or whatever. But then it got a little naughty.
As it does.
Yeah.
If you're dancing under the moonlight, doing the shrooms and smoking the doobs,
things get weird.
And free love, you're gonna probably take your clothes off.
It's such a weird thing. And I've never seen a female streaker, but there should be more of that because nobody wants to see a wiener. Nobody.
I feel like I've seen a female streaker.
Where?
Soccer mat. Where?
Get out of here. A sports
this is a
event.
Good question. Why do we?
I think it would throw them off so bad.
It would.
If a hot
then
lady.
They would stop and they just look and not run after you. They wouldn't know what to do for a sec. And they're like, do we chase her? What do we do? I like this, but
I don't want this to stop.
Right.
Yeah. Because
a streaker, you're going to imagine probably, whereas sometimes, we joke that the people who are often all about being a nudist are the last people you'd want to see naked.
Totally.
But streakers probably have a hot bod. They're in good shape because you can't be a slow streaker.
Yeah, and I think that usually it's men with big wieners that want to show it off or something.
For sure. Do you remember Adam King from The Challenge?
Mm-hmm. It's all he had going for him.
That guy was naked more than anybody.
Well, and Tech's like that.
Oh yeah,
big wiener also.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch the show? I know the answer is no, but you're really missing out. White Lotus.
No, I do know that I'm missing out, though. My God, you guys can't shut up about it.
I loved it so much.
Yeah,
but
people love it.
There was a scene in the beginning of the season where one of the characters changes in front of one of the other female characters that is not his wife, and I had to pause it and rewind it and make Eli watch because I was like, that is the biggest.
You could see his wiener?
Huge.
Who was it?
Then we find out it was a prosthetic. And it was all prosthetic.
I'm more offended by that than the fat suit that we've talked about.
That they would tease us like that.
Yeah, that they would make them look better with prosthetics.
Yeah, I think it was like supposed to be part of, the character. He's like the rich white guy that is an asshole that you really want to hate. We know it, definitely know these guys.
Yeah.
But
he had a giant.
And so I think it's supposed to be like, oh, this guy's got everything, but also does he ? And, or maybe it's like, this is what this guy thinks he can get away with because he's got a big dick.
Yeah.
And
he's not wrong.
That kind of thing. And I mean, I rewatched that.
What did Eli say about it?
He goes, oh, that's definitely a prosthetic. And then when I read, and so he said it like that.
That's so funny.
And then just, I want to say 2 nights ago, I read an article where the actor came out and said, talked about how it was a prosthetic. And I was like, oh my God, Eli, can you believe that in that scene that we saw, that was a prosthetic? He goes, yeah, I told you that. And he thought that when he said it was a prosthetic like that, he was delivering me the actual news, when he said, yeah, I told you that. I'm like,
yeah, but he was guessing.
Yeah, you just told me your opinion. Yeah. You're like, I didn't know. We didn't have you didn't have anything to back that up.
Yeah, it's been confirmed. Oh, man.
Then I thought about it and I'm like, I probably do that all the time and go, yeah, I said that.
Well, how big was it? 9, 10, 11, 12? What?
I mean, it was a shower, not a grower.
Wow, bigger than a bread box. Huh?
He's putting on his pants or putting on the bathing suit shorts and he's kind of bent over and you can see it hanging down between it's definitely touching the water. Even
yes,
if you're
Adam talks about
water
that
in
the toilet.
If he's sitting down to pee.
Yeah.
That's which, by the way, guys, you should definitely do that because that shit gets everywhere. So just sit down.
You mean they should sit down to pee?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't object.
It would be nice. I would like the rest. I just wouldn't like.
I know. That's what I always say.
Every now and then, I wish I could stand up and pee. Camping.
Right.
Anytime I'm snowboarding. Anytime, and I have to pee, and it's a whole thing. I take off the entire suit, and I wear a bib, so you're basically getting naked.
Yeah.
And I always think, man, I would just whip it out and
I mean, they do have that. That's a real nice perk to the wiener.
Yeah. But you miss out on the rest.
Yeah, the rest
is really nice.
But in public, it's usually not a rest; it's a workout because you got to hover and squat.
Yeah,
it really burns the thighs.
I read this article that wasn't even, I thought it was going to be something that I wouldn't even bother bringing up on here because it was really okay, what the fuck. And it was an article on why toilet seats are shaped like a horseshoe.
Oh.
Because they're only shaped like a horseshoe in public restrooms, and at home, they are fully connected.
Yes.
And I guess there was one study or something that talked about how, this is...
Oh, my God.
There's a lot to unpack here. Maybe I should have talked about that.
Yeah, I'm into it.
This is a better story than I thought. It said that it cuts down, it's more hygienic because there's that gap there, provides room for your hand. But then people were talking about how women aren't wiping from back to front. So that gap there doesn't really help. And there's something about, there's less bacteria or there's less...
Wow.
Stuff on the toilet.
This sounds like some sort of conspiracy built by big toilet seat.
Yeah, or men designed a toilet and they were we need this opening for I don't know, my fucking balls or something like that.
Totally.
And then they're oh, because women are going to wipe like that, and they're have you seen a vagina or know how to work? No, we don't. And so that seems maybe a little bit like that, but they didn't say that in the article.
Did they happen to say how hydration is the key to good health?
Well, definitely the key to using the toilet a lot.
Yeah, and Liquid IV's got you covered in the new year. I bet half of you are hungover right now because this episode comes out on the 2nd of January. You're probably still hungover.
You need to get some Liquid IV.
Yes.
Help yourself out. Listen, my friend Dave is a firefighter, and whenever we go camping or we go up to summer camp, he always says you have to be peeing clear and often.
Yeah. Are you peeing clear and often?
If you're not peeing clear and often, you need to get hydrated.
Trouble's brewing.
Right this second.
Yeah, get hydration, but not with gross old water. Just make it delicious, and you'll hydrate 2 to 3 times faster. And that was a lifesaver when I was sick, especially. I did the acai berry and the golden cherry were my go-tos. But they have a million flavors, so whatever you're into, they have. And this is electrolytes, or vitamins, you know what I mean? And 3 times the electrolytes is like the ones you would normally go for. Mm-hmm. So it's so much more bang for your buck. Grab your Liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco, or you can get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use a code CANDY at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code CANDY at liquidiv.com. And I don't mean to imply the Brainiacs are just, hungover losers. Some of you people go to the gym.
Whoa. Those two things don't have to be connected.
Well, I just want to be clear. This is for working out at the gym, which I'm sure you're all doing now that you have your New Year's resolution situations on the go. Or keep it in your purse. Great for travel.
Or if you have that kid who's like, I want juice.
Yeah. No.
Tricked you. Here's your cherry juice.
Yeah,
Here's
and then you have to
juice.
pretend like it's not healthy, but it is. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, this is only for a treat. Here you go. I would totally freaking do that to a kid.
Treat.
I want to have a kid just to trick him like that.
I like where your head is.
Those kind of things. Chore charts, trick him into staying hydrated.
I was hoping. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No.
I should not produce your show. I'm looking forward to when we talk about your Instagram. So I'm chomping at the bit over here, but I'm willing to wait. What do you want to talk about now?
Nothing that I was planning on talking about, but you just kind of reminded me. So I feel like everybody on the planet's been sick recently, and you were just saying when you were sick, you preferred the white cherry one,
golden,
and golden cherry. And then I was thinking, all of a sudden, this thought popped in my mind: how come grape and cherry became the official flavors of being sick?
Yeah,
all cough medicine. How come we don't have banana flavored cough medicine? How come we don't have peach flavored cough medicine? How come we have only 3 flavors? It's like cherry.
It must. Well, I was going to say the most overpowering, but banana is very overpowering. So you would think there would be banana.
And as somebody who's a puker, banana is one of those things that tastes the same way coming up as it does going down. So you should be given that when we're sick. So no problem.
So
other stuff tastes bad.
So medicine maker Sarah has some notes. Okay.
Yeah. Introduce some new flavors. I'm just saying, some of us are over the ones, and I think a lot of us have that idea in our head that that's what it tasted like when we were little. So I take
it's Pavlovian.
Just can we come?
Why aren't you taking capsules? Is the real question. Gel caps of NyQuil, Dayquil, that kind of thing. Why are you in the liquid department?
That's a good question. I feel like that seems for some reason
it could be that they were sold out because I know a lot of places.
Well, they definitely were.
Yeah.
You know what I had to get? I had to get the one for high blood pressure.
That's so funny to me.
Yeah. And I didn't get, shout out to Eli.
What does that even
got me
mean?
all my meds. So there's a kind of it's it doesn't have certain ingredients that will affect you if you have high blood pressure.
Huh.
So it's a different.
They've thought of everything.
That stuff makes you fucking loopy. That one was weird.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I love feeling loopy.
And Eli and I were talking about, there was a time when I think we were in junior high or high school where this specific kind of for high blood pressure medication
it was giving people heart attacks and stuff. Yeah.
And that. So I think that this was, and it made me feel weird. I did not sign up for getting loopy that night.
Good to know.
Felt a little loopy,
consider yourself warned, everybody.
Yeah. So that wasn't meaning to talk about the flavors, but I just.
No, I'm glad you shared that. Thank you.
Talk about it. Okay, before we dive into the What's on Sarah's Instagram feed, Susie and I had a hilarious conversation before we got started recording these episodes. And Susie said, I bet you have the strangest Instagram discover page.
Yes, because you confessed.
So specific and weird.
You confessed some videos that were being suggested to you that would never be suggested to me. And then I recalled other times you've been I saw it on my discovery page. And I'm like, what are you feeding into this algorithm?
What is on your
Yes.
Page? Before, since we teased you that, the thing I teased you about 2 episodes ago that we didn't get to.
Yes, this was going to be big. Okay.
Was because I feel like there's so much to talk about. So back, I want to say it was in May or something like that, but the data collection company, whatever.
Singular.
Yeah, right. Like one of those guys. Mm-hmm. There was a study that was done on what people dream. And so this company from the UK took this data of people's Google searches and what people are searching for online and compiled a list and like a whole infographic about the topics and themes that people dream in every country in the world.
I'm into it.
Suze, I'm already getting goosebumps because there are so many things to explore and questions to ask on here. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's start out. What do you think? Because I feel like we have to guess a few of these. What do you think is the most common? And I'm even going to share my screen so that you guys who are on Patreon or anything like that can even like see some of these fun. We'll definitely share these infographics like in our newsletter, which, by the way, if you have not subscribed to our newsletter, what the heck are you waiting for? It's where we talk about like all these amazing articles and where everything came
it's
from.
On our main,
it's so important.
thebrainkittypodcast.com, like halfway down the homepage, you can just sign up real quick. We don't spam you or anything. Oh my gosh, this is great. This is so great.
So let's first just explore the U.S. Let's first just dive in.
Okay, this is top dreams in the U.S.
And now we're making a couple generalizations here. We're inferring something or assumptions, I should say. Mm-hmm. These are we haven't gone around and asked everybody what are you dreaming, but these are the dreams, the dream subjects that have been the most searched, and they are the most Googled dreams.
Right. So this is something that affects you enough to want to...
where you're like waking up and like, I need to Google.
Yeah, because if you're dreaming about, like French fries, you're probably not going to really think too much about it.
Making out with your high school crush, you probably didn't Google, why did I make out with my high school crush?
Although you're wrong, because look at number 3.
Oh, what? Okay, so if you guys can't see our list because you're listening, the number 1
by a long shot,
by like 4 times as much. Mm-hmm. Teeth falling out.
Teeth falling out. You've had this dream, right?
Yes, but it's very specific. This is the interesting one for me is that there are different ways that the teeth can fall out.
Yeah. How do yours fall out?
This is like whole pieces, like chunks, like 4 at a time. The whole thing comes out.
The whole tooth.
It's not shattered teeth. It's not breaking teeth. It's not anything like that. It's whole chunks of the like 4 of the of my molars or whatever will just
come right out.
Like they look like a set of veneers or dentures or but only like 4 or 5 in a row. And they never have roots on them. They just come out like
the tooth that you see with your eye.
Correct. Which maybe is a good, this is very helpful because you know what they say in like lucid dreaming, if you want to start doing that, you have to first start recognizing when you're awake and to say, I'm awake, like that. Even just saying, if I see teeth that are half teeth, you're definitely sleeping. Like just to confirm,
this is the old dream. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm in the dream state because I kind of feel like the older I get, the harder it is for me to distinguish what was real and what was
100%.
What is that? Is that our dreams are getting fucking boring and like regular?
No, I think it's that our lives are getting really crazy. Oh. That's what that Jane McGonigal book sort of touched upon, which was that what we used to think was unimaginable actually happened. Pandemic, like all that stuff. Now everything is possible.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Maybe
and so, like our dreams are as crazy as they ever were, but they seem realistic.
Oh my god. Okay. Also, it should be noted that this is the monthly search volume. So the number of teeth falling out, 81,000 times that was Googled. Average Google in a month.
Oh my god,
it's a lot.
Yeah,
compared to 20,000.
Why do you think? Do you think the reason that is such a common nightmare is because we're all grinding our teeth at night, and so like
okay, I have these questions too, because let me just dive right in.
Okay.
Before we even talk about the other ones, because this is, I feel like, important to talk about right now. So now I'm going to show you the most common dreams in every country.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
And they've categorized them by color on this sheet so you can kind of see.
This is hilarious.
The teeth falling out one
so happy
is,
right now.
is in red. So look at all the countries and the parts of the world.
My God.
What do you see, right?
They're all Western countries.
Yes. There was no information that came with it. Nobody made any conclusions. And I made sure, I was like, let me just see the raw data. Let me see the study. And then let's unpack and like make our own conclusions and talk about this on the podcast. So if you look at this chart, you will see that in all of the places where there's a heavy Western influence, Australia, Europe, but not all of Europe.
Canada, England, the U.S.
Yes.
Scandinavia?
Mm-hmm. I believe this is England, and we have France and
New
Spain
Zealand.
Down there. Mm-hmm. Teeth falling out.
And Mexico. Is that teeth falling out down there? Oh, no, that's love and relationships.
Love and relationships.
Okay.
Yes. The human body, so they categorize it by like the human body, love and relationships, animals and nature, money and objects, family, death, and then other, or no data.
Oh, my God.
Okay, so now if you look at the ones in other countries, the number one is snake.
Yeah, the snake's the thing that really stands out.
So I wonder if there's some...
So
what is it about teeth falling out?
Right.
I wonder if there's something about the Western idea that your teeth represented
class.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you lose that, it means, and this is like layered from it has to be from a long time.
Yeah.
Isn't that?
It's really intriguing because I'm hesitant to say that, though, because in South America, almost the entire continent is number one is snakes.
Yeah.
And like Brazil, at least, is known for its sort of emphasis on beauty. Because I was thinking maybe it's like the vanity stuff about the Western world that we tend to put a lot of stuff in, like how we look. But that's definitely true in Brazil. And man, they are dreaming about snakes down there.
Yeah, but even like, you weren't on this challenge with me, but I remember we went on a challenge, I want to say to the Dominican Republic, and we had a taxi driver. I was in a taxi with Wes, Devin, I think, me, and I can't remember who else. And Wes was being an asshole, so he was like, take us to a club where there are girls. And if you say that in, like, women, if you say that in a country
certain countries,
yeah, they took us to a club where there are prostitutes,
right?
So, and we got a good sampling of what the sex worker industry in Dominican Republic looks like. Every single one of them had braces. And I said to one of the PAs, wow, it's so interesting. We went to, because now I'm like talking to them. I'm like, oh, isn't that fascinating? You guys all have braces. Da, 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 da. You must. And they were saying that dental care in that way, like the like advancements in dental hygiene and stuff, and that kind of, that had just
like
recently
aesthetic,
yes.
Dental work, yeah.
So it was like, this is and somebody was telling me, I think it was like a PA or something, he was telling me, this, like a local was saying, this is the order that they get things done. Teeth, breasts, butt.
Okay.
And because the teeth, and I think I believe they even said the teeth was because a lot of the American guys want. So what is that about? So, right? That's like a thing.
Yeah, even in England, like they talk, because my husband's English, so when we go there, they talk about how their perception is that Americans are obsessed with their teeth, and especially like how they think we are too into the whiteness. Like they're like, your teeth look ridiculous. They're too white.
And do you remember when we talked about why people in America smile more and how it was a melting pot and they had to smile more to say, I'm not a threat?
Yeah.
Or if you go to Russia, nobody fucking smiles at each other because they're like, I don't care. You just like...
Yeah, that's not how they communicate.
Yeah. So we smile to say I'm not a threat. And so maybe it has something to do with like this idea that... And it wouldn't be our generation. It's like older than this. Way older.
Mm-hmm. It was from the turn of the 20th century where they couldn't, there were so many different languages in the U.S. And so they had to rely on physical, like mannerisms to communicate more. So smiling became super popular.
And if it became super popular, I would imagine that there'd be some value in how your teeth looked.
Yes.
And like you want to be smiled at with somebody like,
mm-hmm.
has all of them.
Well, because it signaled wealth or not.
Yeah.
It still does.
Yes.
Like if you watch fucking The Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia, that's one of the things you notice is missing teeth and things like that.
And wouldn't you say like if you went through certain phases of life or you reached a new level that maybe you'd have access to different kinds of tooth care and you like even the ability to worry about that or be vain about that or put money into that. You know, I've read that teeth and dreams can symbolize change or the like letting go of one thing or something. Like, you know, with mine it's like baby teeth coming out so new teeth can grow in.
I'll tell you what I'll never let go of, and that is my love for wild grain bread products.
Oh my gosh. I dream about these croissants often.
This I've always said is one of my all-time favorite partners because
Agreed.
This has changed the way we do dinner in the Butler household. Like these breads come frozen, you put them in your freezer, and then when
we'll say bread products because it's not just how about pasta?
There's pasta.
Yes.
You also put that in your freezer.
Yes.
And then when you want to have a pasta dinner with some nice garlic bread, you just get them out of the freezer and you put the bread in the oven and you put the pasta in the boiling water, and in no time you get a meal that tastes like you made fresh bread and fresh pasta.
Yes.
100%.
Fresh out of the entire house is going to smell delicious. You have never had a croissant from your own, well, I don't know what fucking kind of baker you are, whatever. But I have never had a croissant from my oven like these.
They're
this
so
feels
good.
Like I should be paying $10 at a French patisserie.
For real.
For real.
And it's made with really
I'm thinking of them right now.
High quality ingredients. It is the kind of food you want to feed your family. And it's so convenient, but most importantly, so delicious. Plus, for a limited time, you can get $30 off the first box, plus free croissants in every box when you go to wildgrain.com/braincandy to start your subscription. You heard me. Free croissants in every box and $30 off your first box when you go to wildgrain.com/braincandy. That's wildgrain.com/braincandy. Or you can use promo code braincandy at checkout. Amazing food. Truly.
And if you've set your season up like my wonderful boyfriend Eli has, you've already batched out some stews and chilies that are in your freezer, and then maybe you have somebody in the house that's like, but I want bread with that. Well, now you don't have to go to the grocery store. There you got your
fresh
stew,
baked bread.
And you got your fresh baked bread.
And I always
fresh bread with this stew.
I have to warn everybody, Sarah included, that I am including in the end of this episode an interview with George McCalman, who wrote and illustrated the Black Illustrated History, which is this gorgeous book. I put it on my Insta story, but it is stunning. He does these beautiful illustrations of icons in the Black history, including people that are still alive today. And then there are essays accompanying them about these lives, and celebrates the history of these Black amazing people. But it's also just like a celebration of art and African American culture, Black culture, and it's awesome. So I wanted to tell you now, so you know, because you guys like to know when my interviews are coming. It's really more of me gushing for the entire interview, but that's because he is so talented, and this book is such a gift. So check it out. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I look forward to that coming up in the rest of the
yes,
episode.
Yes.
What do you think your most common dream is?
Well, my most reoccurring are the teeth one, and then the old classic. I wasn't prepared, and there's a final exam, and I didn't go to class all semester, and now I got to take this test.
Which we've talked about before. There was that NPR article about why I think it was NPR who did it.
Yeah.
Or maybe The Atlantic. I think it was The Atlantic, actually. Why we so frequently dream about school, and it's that first experience of being judged by an authority figure.
Yeah.
Somebody,
yes.
that mattered.
And there's no doubt about it. That is mine, and I hate to be like cliche, but that is the truth.
No, it's not cliche. It's clearly everybody's kind of dreaming out. I would say more than teeth falling out, even though I have that every once in a while. I'd say it's only about once a year, but it would be so intense that it would make me want to Google it.
Yeah.
But the one that I think I have more of that panicky dream about is dyeing my hair black again.
No!
Yeah, and some of these countries come up as like cutting hair or hair falling out, something like that.
Why do you think that's so prevalent for you, or like such a big thing?
I think it maybe symbolizes that, like, two different ways of approaching something. One is like short-term gains, but long-term consequences. And so there's this feeling of regret. In the dream, I am very aware of how not black my hair is right now, and how long it took me to turn it from black to blonde.
Yeah.
And and then in my dream, I always impulsively dye my hair and then regret it afterwards, because I'm aware of how long it took.
You're so mad
to go back. And I'm like, why did I do that? And then in the dream, I'm also very aware of that, because I remember my hairdresser saying, why didn't you just use, what did she say? Like 2N. Like 1N, if you know, like the colors for hair, is like black, actually black hair dye. And 2N is like dark brown. And I always did like jet black, which is like a base that's blue, and it's not a natural color. It turns your hair that weird orangey color when you try to strip it out of there. It doesn't fade into anything natural. Like even just a natural dark brown would have
been better.
And I felt like I made it difficult. Like my decision made it difficult for somebody else to then do something that I want. It's so layered. So that's always the one I go to. And I wake up like, oh no. And then I, for the next week, have to convince myself that like I didn't dye my hair black.
Yeah, it's traumatic. Can we talk about how there's a country in Africa whose number one dream is shoes?
Oh my God, I didn't even see that.
See,
these are the things I want to know. I'm like, I want to know what.
But how are they Googling it? Like, if they don't have shoes, like enough to dream.
We don't know they don't have.
I know, but
shoes.
that's like
just the number one.
I know,
and they do. There's.
Well, why would it be though in Ethiopia
that more people had cell phone service than had power? Like had homes that were connected to a power grid. That was a whole thing.
I love how you're mad at me. You're like, we don't know, they don't have. But I mean, it is Ethiopia, and they're dreaming about shoes, which is so unusual. So you assume.
So then I think it's like the thing that you covet, the thing that we've put on a pedestal as right with the teeth.
Like you've made it.
That's what I was kind of thinking about. Like, what is it? Just different. If we were to explore each of these things, some of them are marriage. If maybe in your mind, like the epitome of like
success,
you have it all. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I get goosebumps.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's so interesting.
That's interesting.
There's also something about how the number two in the United States, if you look at the top dreams in the United States, where is that screen? If you look at the top dreams in the United States, the second most common is snake.
Yeah.
Which is the most common in a lot of the world.
Right. It's very Freudian.
And I wonder what that comes down to, because we've even talked about how what is it about
They're
a snake?
unnatural. That's what it is.
Yes, because of the undulating movements that freak everybody out.
Yeah.
So it's either the thing we want most or the thing that is the most outside of our understanding of what is like.
Well, maybe this is both. So, like, if you're horny for a wiener, maybe you dream of snakes. But also, if you're just, your human brain is like, why are snakes here? This makes no sense. Because it does feel like snakes do not belong on the planet Earth. Right. Like, they got here by mistake, and now we're stuck with them. So, I think it's both. Like, wiener and get the fuck out of here, snakes. We hate your guts.
Wiener and get the fuck, but not even close to teeth. Then we have, and maybe, you know what, maybe that's why it's Googled, because I bet it probably goes either way of like, what is this? Am I dreaming about dicks or am I dreaming about,
you know, the human condition?
Something else.
Yeah.
Because I used to have a nightmare that, and it was when I was little, that I was on my mom made this really cool bed. I had a bunk bed with no bottom bunk, and the bottom bunk was like the little playhouse that she made for me.
Yeah.
And so I was on the top bunk, and I would dream that the whole floor was covered in snakes, and snakes were coming up into my bed.
Oh, no.
You know a little bit about my history.
Oh, my God. A little too on the nose.
And, you know, it's kind of terrible. But, yeah, so that I can see people could be confused of, like, what am I dreaming about here, and want to kind of explore that. Other things that made, I guess this is maybe the top 10 list here. Yeah. So number 1, we said teeth falling out. Number 2, snakes. Number 3, ex. Dreaming about your ex.
Yep.
Number 4, spiders. Number 5, vacation. I think this is just the night before vacation stress dream.
Oh, okay. I thought,
right?
I'd love to dream about a vacation. That sounds nice.
Yeah, but it feels like vacation that doesn't go well. Like, nobody's Googling when they had a nice vacation and, like, you know, you're Googling, like, why did this cruise ship sink in my vacation dream?
Yeah.
Next on the list, crowd favorite, or unfavorite, or whatever the opposite of that is. What's the opposite of favorite? Least favorite? Why is my mind going blank all of a sudden?
The worst, yeah.
Sure. Being chased.
Yeah.
A lot. I hear that a lot.
And then you have the feeling that you can't move fast enough. That's the worst when you're being chased.
That's totally the worst. I heard that if you work hard to try to confront whatever's chasing you, like if it's a reoccurring dream, you really work to tell yourself before you go to bed, I'm going to confront the person who's chasing me. I'm going to turn around. I'm not going to run away. Mm-hmm. I'm going to stay there. I'm going to turn around and be like, shoo, get out of here.
Shoo. Scram, beat it.
I don't know. Mm-hmm. Beat it. Mm-hmm. Then it can be helpful to kind of confront that. Wedding is the next one. Then flies.
Oh, I mistook that. I thought they meant like flying. But okay. That's way worse.
Because I've had the maggot dream.
Oh, the maggot dream?
I don't know. It's the maggot dream to me because it's like I open the toilet seat and it's like full of maggots, and I close it again, and then I open it up, and it's all flies that come at me.
That is so elaborate.
But I feel like this stems from the movie The Craft. A lot of these, because I know the snake thing came from that, because that happens in that movie, and I can pinpoint that is when, like, I was dreaming about that stuff.
So this is like a be careful little eyes what you see kind of deal.
Totally. For sure. Yeah. Next on the list, sex.
Lower down than I'd expect.
Yeah, way lower. Because, again, I don't think people are Googling their sex dreams.
Yeah, okay, yeah. We're just happy to have them.
We're just, like, happy. Yeah,
yeah, happy to be here.
Yes, thank you. Mm-hmm. And bears.
Bears. That I've never had a bear dream, ever.
Never.
No, because I'm not out in nature.
I can't think of a time. I have encountered more bears in nature than I have, I think, in my dreams. Actually.
I mean, one thing that I do dream about is Thrive Cosmetics.
I was just having a conversation with somebody about this the other day.
Mm-hmm.
There is no better mascara. I'm sorry.
Never, ever, ever been a better one. You're so right. It is the first vegan tubing mascara.
I will never use another mascara.
Yeah.
Period.
Mm-hmm. My whole makeup bag is now the Thrive Cosmetics blue, whatever turquoise blue that you...
Oh, so nice.
Is their products. I mean, because everything I try, I incorporate then forever because it's the best one I've ever had. They have waterproof eyeliner. They have brilliant eye brightener. They have the tubing mascara that we love. They have everything. And no parabens, sulfates, or other fancy things that I don't understand that like wreck you. This is really...
We'll call those cheap fillers.
Yeah, there's no cheap fillers.
They're cheap things that are like...
bad for you.
Not what you need in the product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are certified vegan and cruelty-free, which we love. And this is super cool. Thrive has a Bigger Than Beauty initiative where for every product purchased, Thrive Cosmetics donates to help communities thrive. What is not to love about that? That is super cool. They have 300 giving partners across the country. And they have a deal for you. Come on now. It's a great time to try Thrive Cosmetics for yourself right now. You get 15% off your first order when you visit thrivecosmetics.com/braincandy. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/braincandy for 15% off your first order. Also, how funny is it that there was one country, I don't know which one, where their number one was hats.
What?
It was in Europe somewhere.
That's got to be that, like, I don't know, somewhere in the, like, hats became this thing that symbolized something else.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so much fun stuff to unpack on that.
Yeah, we need people from around the world to weigh in. Like, here's probably why we dream that, but we don't know.
I think that it just is such a fun... like visual, like little infograph, and really just makes you, I don't know.
Even if you just think about the teeth thing, though, in the Western world, I'm still kind of like scratching my head about it.
I know.
And
how it was so specific that it was places where there's like an English monarch, like places where there was like colonization. Well, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Apologies. But, it's like that.
Yeah. It's weird.
There's stuff there.
Yeah.
And I just was so excited to share it because I know our Brain Candy Brainiacs are going to, like, and we'll put up the infograph and, like, send you guys in the newsletter. I'm sending them to Susie right now so that she has them. So, so you can see all of the stuff because I think it just makes for a really good conversation and debate.
Well, because I suffered from what do they call that? The consensus bias, where I just assumed the whole world's worst fear was their teeth falling out.
Right, but it's not, and that's why you kind of see, like, okay, what is it that the other country fears these things?
Yeah.
Is it that, that it kind of has this link to some kind of, like, dark underworld sort of evil thing? Which is the perfect segue to this other story that I had that, in kind of like compiling these things I wanted to talk about, I chose this story because, again, it just reminds me, like, we're going to look at the animal and why it's kind of spooky, and creepy and stuff. And there's something there, and I don't know what it is.
Okay.
So, there was some new information or some studies that came out recently, on the vocalization of bats.
Oh, yes. And my brother sent this to me.
Okay. About the death metal voice?
Yeah, because he loves death metal.
Okay. Yeah. This is great.
Yeah. Right. And when I wrote back...
I'm like a few episodes too late from
for
our
real.
Death metal.
Like, when he sent it to me, I almost wrote back and said, this is Brain Candy material, but I knew he wouldn't care, so I was just like, wow, it's so cool.
100% Brain Candy material. And I feel like it ties into, like, why is it spooky? So people are like, what the heck are you talking about, Sarah?
Yeah.
So there was a study that was done on the vocalization of bats. And people were, like, these bat researchers were looking at the ways that bats communicate through echolocation and the frequency that they use. And they were talking about how they have one of the widest ranges of frequencies of any animal. So they can put out noises that are at such a high range, like even Mariah Carey would be like, what? I can't even understand how you get that note. And then they have such low range. And so they were looking at the high range of, like, what is it that causes their voice to make that super high range? And it's something that humans can't duplicate or can't even hear. And in studying the extremes of both ends, they found that on the other end of the spectrum, in the really low frequencies, they utilize the same parts of the vocal cords, or a part of the vocal cords that humans rarely get to use. It's called, what do they call them? They're these vocal cord folds. These folds, they call them false vocal folds, that are parts of our, they're a part of our vocal cords that are such a low range that they're almost never used by humans. The only time they're used is in like the throat singing and by death metal singers. People who can sing and like accents. It's like that screamo music.
Yes.
Like, save your pity for
yes.
me. Like that kind of thing that like hurts your voice when you do it. And they get they're lowered a little bit towards the vocal cord folds. And then they like create these vibrations that become very irregular. And it creates this very rough sound. Like it's lowering where the vibrations take place on the vocal cords. Like you have to really focus on it. Like if you think about, even as I'm talking now, and I think about where my voice is coming from, if I were to like imagine myself internally pointing to what part of my vocal cords, and then I brought it down like this, I would point to a lower part in my throat, a lower part
yeah, like
of my
singers,
vocal
when
cords.
you take voice lessons, this is what you learn. Like they call it your head voice.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And it's that sort of like Karen Walker nasal thing from Will and Grace, like that.
The thing I just did that when I said I didn't know that.
And like,
oh my God,
I do that a lot too. But like you want to, you know, if you're a good singer, you want it to come from your diaphragm, which is way down here. So you have to like, and then it's supposed to come out like your nose kind of.
Oh, man.
Like you're supposed to kind of feel it in the tip of your nose.
Yeah. And when I kind of, and it's like there's this flexing of your abdominal muscles that has to happen when you do it. And it's a very like guttural sound that you make when you drop the frequency down there. And so I was listening to, it was an article, but it was also like on NPR radio. So they had the audio clip of it, and they played the frequency of the bats, like what they sound like.
The low one?
The low one. But if you were to match it to what human range, like if you were to drop everything down into a human range, it sounds fucking creepy.
Like a death metal person? No.
Like ghostly. Like remember when we played the audio of what the inside of a black hole sound? Oh, I'm getting fucking goosebumps and creepiness right now. And we talk about that. The devil's note that you said is that like split octave or whatever you call it in music, where it's like that certain note that sends the chill down your spine.
Yeah.
This is the same kind of thing. And so it makes me wonder, like, why do we classify? So when I think about the snake being the second most common, in some parts of the world, the most common dream, and it's this thing that feels like
unnatural,
of the underworld and unnatural. And then you think about our relationship and our like the connotation we have about like bats. Like bats have a very like big, Susie's doing the shiver right now, right? I'm doing it to all of you, right? Everybody's feeling that and how like bats and snakes, if I were to like put animals in a category, they would be in the same category. And they also do these things that challenge like the or make us go like, what is that?
Yeah, what's this all about? You don't belong here.
It almost feels like these animals, which came first? It's like chicken or the egg. Did we have some understanding of these deep noises that bats make that make us feel like that's spooky? So then we labeled a bat, this is creepy. Yeah. In the same way we did with snakes and how they move.
Yeah.
It's just just made me like brain candy brainiac thing, like turned on my thinking hat.
Okay, because, and stay with me on this will sound unrelated, but when you know how women always want to know, like, am I having a boy or a girl when they're pregnant, like this whole bullshit about gender. Okay, and then there's no way to predict it based on like, oh, it's setting high up in your body, so it's whatever.
There's about a 50-50 chance you'll get it right?
Yeah. The only predictor that is beyond like a sonogram has been dreams.
I know.
Because some part of your brain knows what it is in there.
Yes.
And I feel like that's what you're saying about these snakes in the bats. Like we know.
We know.
But we don't know we know.
Don't know why. Yeah! See? I was like, this.
Yeah, you're cracking
I've just
codes.
Been like, there have been so many, like, I've put the conditioner in my hair and I'm waiting for it to sit in.
Yeah.
And, like, do its job, and I'm just staring at the wall.
Yes.
Kind of shifty eyes going like, but then.
What is this all about?
I need to write this down.
Yes.
Yeah, and that has been like as I've been thinking about these different subjects for this, the dreams and the creepy things and the spooky things and the why it does that and sounds and. Mm-hmm.
This is very interesting. I think you're onto something. I know we're onto something about how great Chime is, and anybody that's used a banking app knows how garbage they usually are. So,
or used a bank.
Or used a bank in general. And that's why we're singing the praises of Chime, because it isn't like that. You can get a payday up to 2 days early, fee-free overdrafts up to $200, which I think we could all use right about now. Because the holidays are over, and let's just say we spent a little bit of money. So you can see for yourself why Chime is so loved at chime.com/braincandy. That's chime.com/braincandy. Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking service and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank or Stride Bank, N.A., members FDIC. Early access to direct deposit funds depends on payer. SpotMe eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. See chime.com/spotme. Chime was the 2021 #1 most downloaded banking app in the U.S. according to Apptopia. Ha-ha.
Everybody knows, and now you do too.
Now you do too. Can I introduce our guest, or would you like to say something?
Absolutely. I feel like I got to just like leave it there that, we even though it was just like 2 stories and usually we come with them some more fun facts, there was so much there that I just like have to like drop that and let you like think about that as I do.
I feel like we solved some of the universe mysteries too.
Probably. I mean, definitely made some loose connections.
Yeah. I love little breadcrumbs that can then sustain you as you figure out life. It's so fun. Our guest today, as I've already sung his praises, is George McCalman. He wrote and illustrated the Illustrated Black History. I said it wrong earlier. I said Black Illustrated History, but it's Illustrated Black History, and it's absolutely gorgeous book. Perfect to display in your home, and also perfect to read and familiarize yourself with members of the Black community who have created an incredible legacy that is often hidden by the white supremacist teaching methods, as well as just ethnocentrism in general. And he is doing the Lord's work because he is trying to tell these stories in a way that we can all consume and appreciate and just enjoy the beauty of their lives and his artwork. It's a stunning book. So check it out and check out my interview with him. He's wonderful. Welcome to the show, George. Welcome to the Brain Candy Podcast. I'm so honored to talk to you. Can you even believe how much talent you have? It's ridiculous.
Oh, stop it, Susie.
I'm so annoyed. The heck? Like, save some for the rest of us. I mean, you're so special. This is such a gorgeous book. I hope everybody gets it. I know our listeners will love it. Illustrated Black History, honoring the iconic and the unseen.
Yes.
Holy heck. How long did this take you, sir?
It took a while. It took the actual making of the book took 4 years. But the original project to the publication of the book, it was 6 years.
That is sick. My God. Well, then you must be so pleased that it's finally out in the world and people are loving it.
Relief.
Is everybody showering you with praise?
It's kind of wild. Yes.
Good.
The book is on its 2nd printing, which is a really amazing thing so soon. It's a sign that I imagine people are responding to it. And it just feels really great. The feedback I've gotten is much more emotional than I personally was even prepared for, because when you're making something, you're just on the inside of it. And I wasn't really thinking, I hoped that my community would love it. You know, it's a love letter to American culture and the Black community. And it really is, it was made with love and appreciation and dedication to the pioneers who basically created the framework of this country. And, but then it goes out into the world, and then people are responding to it. And it's like, oh, okay.
This is real.
Real.
And I am struck by you saying that it's been emotional, because when I was reading your introduction, that's the word that kept coming up for me, because it was so many emotions that you had. Like you began your introduction by saying, I had a curiosity. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of what the little spark began with. But then there was joy and gratitude, but also anger and frustration. Yes. So like that really must have bled into how the readers embraced it, right?
Yes. I remember one of the blurbists, in book parlance, you ask basically famous people to write a testimony on your book. And one of those is one of my current literary heroes, Hilton Als. And I remember when he wrote that he was going to write a blurb, he also wrote, he's like, your introduction was a bold proposal. You're not supposed to write about your emotions as you're working on a book of history. And that you are saying all of the things that will allow people to identify with you is a really bold declaration. And mm-hmm. I really appreciated that he wrote that. He was like, it's really amazing that you decided to write this way about this.
Yes, but then you delivered. So it wasn't some sort of empty, hollow, right. Whatever. You really provided that for the reader. And it just came through. And I was struck by, like, the book is so joyful in terms of there's so much color and, I don't know, life and vibrancy. But did you not suffer from any cynicism and like bitterness like the rest of us have?
Girl, yes. Yes. Absolutely, yes. I mean, I'm making a book about American history, about 400 years of American history, and then life is going on all around me. And so you can't not be affected.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like a refraction of history. You see basically how we, as a country, we just keep repeating our mistakes over and over and over and over again. And as I'm writing and researching and working with my writing collaborator, April Reynolds, we're reflecting the irony of focusing on the history of so many of our pioneers that, the same context is just happening currently, with 2020, with the Trump election, with, there's just so many things that we kept seeing in the words that we were writing.
Yeah.
Reflected in our everyday life. And a lot of it is maddening and angering and frustrating. And there's a lot of resignation and a sense of hopelessness at times and feeling lost. And how are we going to find our way out of these cultural and political messes that we find ourselves in? And so that was an active part of the conversation. At no point did I leave the real world.
Yeah.
I was making this. It was
that makes sense, because when you started your introduction, you said you wanted to connect the dots between past and present. And so there isn't that just transcendence, because you're still in it.
Yes. And at no point did I take a sabbatical.
Yeah.
Typically when you work on a book with this ambition, you need to take time off. And so it was both a good thing and a frustrating thing that I did not have any time off. I was just immersed in the making of the book and real life at the same time.
I was fascinated by the fact that you struggled with, or at least grappled with, this idea that you were even worthy of.
Yes.
Why?
Yes. Well, this is a complicated thing to say out loud. It's something that Black people know. And I'm going to try to explain it. Like, we are seen, American society relegates each of us, individuals, Black citizens, as representatives of our entire communities. And so I grew up, I'm an immigrant, and I moved to this country when I was 8 years old. And I've been a citizen most of my human existence. And so I'm both outside and inside of the American experience. And I say that very proudly. But I also know that this country places the burden of who we are all supposed to be seen as a people on each of us. And so it is sometimes internalized, and we feel responsible. This is the scourge of racism. It forces an extra burden, an extra layer, and it's invisible. We don't talk about this in an everyday way. We don't. But I felt that if I took this on and I failed in it, it would reflect poorly.
Oh, wow.
Because this book didn't exist before. And so it's the first of its kind, and it's its own pioneer. And so I wanted to make sure that I got it right. And so I wanted to make sure that I was the right person to do this. And so it took me about a year to kind of work out my internal, am I not? And then when I got there, I never second guessed it again. But there wasn't a period, to be completely honest, where I was like, I'm not sure I'm the right person to do this.
Did you know at that time that doubt was informed by that internalized crap?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I was actively, kind of deconstructing it.
Yeah.
As I was kind of second guessing myself, I was also engaged in conversation with people in my community, my studio mate. There were lots of people that I was working this through with, because I knew that it wasn't really me. Like, I was super excited to do this, and I had a sense of purpose around it. But I also needed to work out, kind of the plot also, just my own narrative of, I wanted to make sure I was fully inside of this experience. Yeah. And that I wasn't kind of second guessing myself. And we all have our secret insecurities that can torpedo momentum, that can torpedo our dreams. And I wanted to just make sure that I was fully embracing my excitement and my enthusiasm for doing this.
It seems like once you came to that conclusion, that it almost took on a feeling of like a calling.
Totally. That is a really great way to put it. Once I had worked all of that out, it just became a mandate and a purpose. And it was a calling. Like, I, with no hyperbole, I worked on this project for 7 days a week for 4 years. There was no time I was not, with the exception of 2 months. I took a 2-month break due to some life circumstances, but it was the only time that I did not think about this project, or I wasn't engaged in some process or some form of it the whole time.
And do you feel now that it's complete, that you can get some perspective, or are you still in the thick of it?
No, I got the book that I wanted. That's one of the reasons that I designed it also, was to have the creative control to make sure that it was exactly what I envisioned. I would never have trusted anyone else to design this book at all. And so tackling all of those pieces, both together and individually, it just kind of, it's just in your veins. And so when it's done, it's actually done. And I was just really delighted to say it was such a relief when we sent it out to the printer, and I was like, okay.
Oh my gosh. What did that feel like?
It was, Susie, it was incredible. It was just relief with all caps and little space in between the letters. RELIE.
Right. I can only imagine what that felt like. And so when you're beginning the process, at first you said it was just black and white imagery. Yes. Ultimately, it was everything. Did you just trust your feelings in terms of like what each thing would look like?
Yes. This is one of those weird things that's hard.
Yeah.
I think artists struggle with talking about
to regular people. We're like, wait, what? Yeah.
Yes. No, because it's like, how do you describe magic? You know, how do you? Because that's what I think art is, human magic. It just like, it's not quantifiable. There's no formula.
Yeah.
It's different for every person. And it's also pretty profound. You know, I just trusted. I have no real process. And it is, it's a wild thing to say out loud. You know, it is, I don't know what tools I'm going to use before I sit down. Like all of these portraits, I did not know how they were going to turn out.
Absolutely not. I would be breathing into a paper bag. Like I can't even take the anxiety of knowing that. Truly. That really is magic to me. You're right.
It is. And I've always viewed it that way. And being an artist myself the last few years in a declarative way where, I can say now I've always been an artist, but the truth is I didn't really start practicing it on a daily, everyday, where it's just a part of my breathing and brushing my teeth. It's as common as that, you know? And I just really, it took me a while to just accept that I wasn't always going to be able to explain it, and it wasn't always going to be able to make sense to anyone. But I know intuitively what I need to do to produce a beautiful piece of art. And I trust my instincts, my feelings. I just reach over, Susie, and I pick up whatever is in front of me and I start working.
What? That for me is supernatural. I'm so grateful for people like you, but I do not understand it.
Right.
At all. Right. So I'm just glad you're out there doing it.
Right. No, and I totally understand that most people don't understand this.
Yeah.
And I think it's totally fine that people don't understand this, but I like explaining.
Yeah.
Even that there is no real process, I like explaining that to people because I think there's some sort of there's a wall kind of separating folks who are not artistic from folks who are.
Yeah.
And I like to bring those walls down and just say, I just pick up and I start moving. And I just trust my hands and my body, and I'm just producing something that is supernatural. And then when it's done, I step back and it's like, okay, there it is.
Well, it's a public service for real, because we need you guys.
So happy. Can you be our PR director? Can we just, Susie,
I'm your hype woman. I got you.
Can you just be a hype woman for all artists everywhere?
Real, because it's mystifying to people like me who just don't have that gift. But I'm so thankful for it. Yeah. You know how when you maybe listen to music or something and you get like an earworm and it'll kind of be stuck in there. Yes. Was it like that at all with the people in this book where like you love and appreciate all of them, but there would be somebody that kind of like would burrow inside?
Yes. In the research for every single subject, because I've been asked, how did I make the decision?
Yeah.
And the truth is it was also very kind of intuitive. I would research someone and then find an aspect of their story that just like took hold. And I just wanted to know more. And it just became this kind of driving passion where I had to know more about a certain aspect of Ida B. Wells's life. Or I wanted to focus on a particular period of Langston Hughes' life or James Baldwin's. And I wanted to just kind of know more. You know, Anita Hill, what I was interested in her life is basically that she has survived enough to register her genuine anger at that. And you know what, that's what I admire about her, is that she had to be so restrained. You know, that woman knew that she was going to be raked over the coals, that they were going to paint her as a villain because she was a woman, and that the system was going to be in service to Clarence Thomas getting in, despite the fact that he lied, and he lied to get in to the Supreme Court. And so there's this woman who's there who is representing the truth of her existence, and society isn't ready to hear a woman speaking up for and registering what sexual harassment. These are all new conversations at the time. Like, she was a trailblazer, and she's survived long enough to just, in interviews, she's just pissed. she's just pissed. And I love that. I love that she is getting to express her outrage at how she was treated, how Joe Biden treated her.
Right.
You know, let's not forget that. Like, you know, it was just all of it. And that's just the cauldron of history. It's all just there. But there are human emotions. It's not just a series of moments and dates, which is how we talk about history. It's actually the emotions of all of us processing that history, and the people who are at the center of these events and cultural and political moments in our lives.
Well, and as you say on the front cover, the iconic and the unseen, and so much of it being unseen is intentional and exclusionary and by design. And it felt like whenever you had moments of rage or anger, frustration, that was almost how you were honoring these people.
Yes. Yes.
Because we should be mad.
We should be mad.
Yeah.
We should be mad. And as much as I have presented this book joyfully, the history is really painful. You know, and that needs to be, I think that is at the epicenter of what this country continually struggles with. It refuses to acknowledge its pain. And the foundation of how this country was founded is really painful. It's not something to be celebrated. It's a really painful way for a country to comport itself as a starting point. And we've just never acknowledged it as a society. And so it just continues to linger. This pain just continues to hang in the air, and it informs so much of who we are and are not as Americans. And so I really agree with you. This idea of just kind of acknowledging, we can acknowledge the uncomfortable parts of our history too, and that is the path forward.
Yeah. And sometimes the anger is what can cause change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think it is really necessary.
Yeah. It's really disturbing. That's why you need to be all of our life coach, because it seems like you have really found the way to do it that isn't destructive inside of you.
Well, that is the scourge of racism. It haunts everyone. And, you know, the way I think about racism is that it's definitely haunted Black people, but I think it has haunted white people just as much.
Yeah.
I think
everyone is worse off.
Everyone is worse off.
Yeah.
I think of the white community as a particularly haunted people, because it's just like you have this stuff that you know that everyone's carrying around, but no one's admitting it.
Yeah.
And how can that not corrupt your system? How can that not corrupt you individually, as a community, as a city, as a country? You know, the ways that racism affects Black people is something that we are talking about more and more, but we don't talk about how racism has affected white people.
Yeah, it's everybody's garbage.
It's everyone's garbage. It's totally everyone's garbage.
I remember when I first heard about your book, whatever I was reading had said that you deliberately chose to release it outside of Black History Month. Tell me about that choice.
I have a deep appreciation for what Black History Month does. And it is there to right a wrong, where Black history as a concept, as a teaching point, as a point of celebration, just was not there, at all. But the interesting thing that in the years and decades since its existence, it has become another American holiday that is commodified. And so
we're real good at that, aren't we?
We're really good at just flattening everything into spending and shopping.
Right.
And so that is what I was responding to. I didn't want it to just fall in line with the, 10 people that are trotted out every, in the form of quotes and good feeling with no complexity and no curiosity about the actual accomplishments of Black Americans.
Yeah, it can feel like checking the box kind of.
It's totally.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want it getting lost as a opening salvo. And so, and most importantly to me, I believe that Black history is every day, every month.
Yeah.
And so releasing it in late September was like, that's what we should do.
Well, and you're so right. This is Black history, of course, but it's American history, whether people want it to be or not.
Whether people want it to be or not. And the unofficial subtitle of the book is Black History is Every Month. And this is American history. I wrote that sentence in the synopsis of the book. It is American history. And I'm moving it closer and closer to it being perceived in that way.
Yeah, and it is a labor of love, and I'm so thankful because what you're doing is so important and consequential. And I know sometimes it probably feels thankless and like drudgery, maybe sometimes, but it is not without, an effect. And I'm so thankful.
Thank you so much. It was delightful to chat with you.
I'm so honored.
Conversationalist, Susie.
No, you inspire me. No, you're inspiring. It's so easy because you're a really talented person. And I hope it seeps through the screen and becomes contagious.
Thank you.
So I hope everyone buys your book. And we have one last thing I ask everybody. Would you indulge me?
Absolutely.
We want to know, if you happen to have a vehicle, what do you keep in the trunk of your car?
Snacks.
You're lying.
Snacks?
No one has ever said that.
Snacks. Number one.
Right.
Drawing tools, like a notepad, just backup. I'm a bag lady with my art supplies, and I carry my stuff with me everywhere. I have a little pouch of pencils and pens, and I have one or two notebooks with me at all times.
You're the coolest. And what kind of snacks, though?
Well, since we're getting specific.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Cashew nuts. Huh. Plantain chips.
Okay.
Dried mango.
My God, you're so healthy. There's nothing bad in there.
No, but I'm getting to that.
Oh.
And then Milky Way bars. That's my jam.
Wow, you're kidding me.
Milky Way, I'm a child of the 80s, and I love Kit Kat and Milky Way bars.
Wow, I'm so glad I asked.
Aren't you sorry you asked?
No, that's the best answer. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. And thank you for coming on Brain Candy. And I can't wait to see all the people that tag us in the book that they buy because they are going to love it.
You are just delightful. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you.